What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the shop. Happy New Year, first of all. I hope you guys are having a great New Year's Eve party or whatever you're doing. Just celebrating, spending some time with your family, whatever. That's all good stuff, and I wish you the best. Hopefully 2024 will be a lot better than 2023. I mean, the bar is not going to be very high to achieve that. I mean, I don't know about you guys personally. Maybe you can let me know down in the comments, but for me personally, 2023 sucked balls, man. I mean, it was awful, god awful. I was pretty anxious for it to be over, to be honest with you, because again, the bar is so low that 2024 hopefully will be a better year. Now, I think that all depends on a lot of different things towards the end of 2024. Wink, wink, nod, nod. The election, if you know what I'm talking about. If we have a fair contest, then I think maybe things at the end of 2024 will start to straighten out. And so there is a chance for hope on the horizon. But honestly, I don't have very much faith that there is going to be a fair contest. So earlier today, I started thinking about it, and I was like, you know, what are the 5 or 6 reasons that Biden will lose the 2024 election if it were a fair contest, right? So I made notes. I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff here that I think are really important things. Yeah, we're going to go political. And I know a lot of people don't like it when I talk about politics and stuff, but you know what? That's just too bad. You can tune out and tune into something else later on if you want. You can unsubscribe, whatever. I'm an American. I have free speech. I believe in, individual liberty and self-governance, the ideals behind the founding of the United States of America. So I feel it's important to talk about this kind of stuff, and I hope that you guys will stick with me, and maybe you'll provide 6 more different reasons that Biden should not win the 2024 election. In fact, he should lose. He should be the biggest loser. So number one reason Biden will lose the 2024 election: economy. I mean, it's pretty obvious. If you guys go shopping or anything like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you spend money on anything, even if you don't leave your house and you only buy products off of Amazon or whatever online store you like to use, you're still feeling the pinch of the massive inflation. They're still trying to say it's somewhere around 8 or 9%. And I heard like a week or two ago, they're like, oh, it's actually dropping down now. It's getting better. BS. It's not getting better. It's still at minimum 25% at the grocery store. And many of the items that I've bought over the past year or two, I've looked up the old prices and it's 100% increase. So I don't know where they're getting, 8% or whatever they're claiming it is, inflation right now, but it's a complete fabrication. So Bidenomics, as they call it, it has been a complete and utter failure for the American people. Notice how I put it that way. Well, what do I mean by that? It's been a huge success if your end goal was to implement the New World Order and destroy the United States economy. So the plan, it's a real simple one. It seems to be print, spend, and repeat until you destroy the United States dollar value. And they're doing a mighty fine job of it every day. As far as how he chooses to spend that money or what he chooses to spend that money on, he gives it to his buddies to promote the woke, anti-American victimhood mentality philosophies and, his goals. That's his goals, is everything that's anti-American. Biden is all for it. But I'm sure they have to promise to give 10% to the big guy if they're going to do a deal like that. So if he gives someone money, I'm sure there's a big chance that they're having to give kickbacks to Biden, the big guy. We've got record high inflation, record high numbers of bankruptcies, foreclosures, and homelessness. Those are all common now in the mainstream news headlines. Even the mainstream media is having to acknowledge a lot of this stuff. Now, they try to brush over it and they don't say much about it. Where if it were Donald Trump and all these same things were stacking up, that's all the media would be talking about. You and I all know it. Whether you like Trump or not, you got to admit, they treat Biden with kid gloves. They never talk about his major gaffes that he has all the time. I heard him like a couple of days ago. I couldn't figure out how to do it, but I need to figure out how to rip videos, because there's this video clip where Biden was like, it's going to be 700 million, billion, trillion dollars or some shit like that. I was just like, oh my God. When America's enemies hear this doddering old man who appears to have dementia making a mockery of our presidential institution as a whole, the office of president, they're laughing their asses off because they know we've been beaten. So the economy is a big deal. That's number one reason. If you have no other reasons alone, this one right here by itself should make you go, hey, wait a minute, there's a big problem here, a big disconnect between this guy at the top and the deep state and my bank account. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but again, I've watched my savings account dwindle and my income dwindle and my taxes go up and everything else, all my other expenses have exploded because of Bidenomics. Number two, record high energy prices. And that's not by accident, guys. And that's not something they can blame on COVID. This is all thanks to Biden's pro New World Order population control agenda. Oh, did I say population control? I meant climate change agenda. He's trying to say that, you know, climate change is the worst thing, one of our worst issues we face as a nation. This is all thanks to Biden. And since Biden stole office, one office, right? Electricity rates have skyrocketed, diesel prices, gasoline prices. Now, gas has come back down, but I think they're manipulating the system right now so that he has a snowball's chance in hell to win in 2024. Because if fuel was still, $4 or just over $4, $4.20, I think is what the highest was it got around here. If it was still in that range, everybody'd be talking about the fuel prices and how they can't afford to operate. So they've done something, I don't know what, but they've got some kind of backdoor deal going on where they're keeping the energy prices lower than they should be. He said climate change is the greatest threat we face as a nation. He literally said that. You can go look that quote up. Even greater than World War III, the possibilities of World War III. So he's saying even greater than full-scale nuclear war is the threat of climate change. I mean, I think that's a little bit hyperbolic to say the least. Biden's EPA has lured auto manufacturers into producing EVs or electric vehicles to meet fuel mileage requirements and phase out the internal combustion engines. Of course, Ford and GM, they played ball at first, but now they're both slowly backing away from the EV market. And part of the reason for that is EVs are expensive to produce and warranty, and they have a lot of warranty problems, very expensive ones, and they have a tendency to burst into flames. And also the power grid currently, the way it's configured, can't handle the demand of, increasing putting everyone on electric vehicles. So they're not really seeing this thing out all the way through. They're saying, oh, gas engine's bad, electric vehicle's good. Okay, that's good enough. Let's do that. And they don't look into the long-term effects. And of course, the argument has been made that lithium mining actually causes far worse environmental impact than drilling for oil. But they don't want to hear that, see? They say, shut up, conspiracy theorist. You shut up. We're fact-checking you. There's no truth in that. Lithium's perfectly safe. Look at all those African kids that pick it out of the ground every day. And all. It's unreal. It's unreal. Number three reason that Biden will and should lose the 2024 election. Let's talk about Biden's open border policy. From day one, Biden has refused to enforce the supreme law of the land. In case you don't know, that means the United States Constitution. And he has allowed millions of illegals to invade. Article 4, Section 4 states in the U.S. Constitution, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. It's written in black and white in the Constitution. Biden claims that these invaders are climate refugees and should be processed and granted refugee status. So they're giving them asylum, refugee status, and saying, why don't you come to court in like 2035 and we'll talk to you about it then. It's complete bullshit. It's complete undermining of the United States laws, all of the laws, not only the state laws, but, the idea that Biden is supposed to provide the United States, to help to provide the United States with a Republican form of government. You can't have a Republican form of government if you're under invasion. He has continually undermined efforts made by the border states to stop this invasion. There's example after example of this. He's used lawfare and federal agents to cut down fences. Literally, they cut down fences. It's on videotape, Constantina wire. These federal agents, I'm guessing with Border Patrol or something, that were ordered to go in there with bolt cutters or whatever and cut these wires and allow these illegals to come in, undermining, literally directly undermining Texas's authority and their money that they put towards that. Unbelievable. In Arizona, they used lawfare to make them remove their shipping container wall. Arizona had built this beautiful, big, bold shipping container wall, just like Trump promised, except Arizona did it with their own money because they're trying to protect their state. And the federal government, through, the Department of Justice and all this, some federal judge came in and said, you got to tear that down on your dime, on your expense. So basically a big middle finger to the Arizona taxpayers and the Arizona government of the time. And the problem with a lot of this stuff is the kind of people that are willing to break the law to come into the United States of America are not good people. Many of these third world countries where the illegals are coming in from are emptying out their prisons and their mental institutions and shipping them over here. This is proven. This is not some conspiracy theory. This actually is going on right now, and people should be in an uproar about it, but instead they're just like, oh, well, nothing to see here. The media doesn't say shit about it, so that doesn't help anything. The president is duty bound by the Constitution to enforce the laws of the land. And if he doesn't like a law, he should attempt to get the lawmakers to change it, not find a workaround rule or try to rule through executive order, which is exactly what he's done. Number 4 reason Biden should never be president of the United States after 2024, Biden's attitude towards political opponents. I mean, he's taken a very, USSR, Stalin-esque approach to demonizing his political enemies. He has weaponized the DOJ and the FBI to openly target his political opponents by labeling them ultra-MAGA right-wing extremists and classifying them as terrorists. Literally, they changed the classification so they could put ultra-MAGA people, mom and pops and, soccer moms and stuff like this that might have voted for Trump, people that go to parent-teacher conferences and raise hell over the kind of curriculum that the kids are being allowed to view and being taught in the schools. Yeah, those kinds of people are ultra-MAGA right-wing extremists, according to Biden, and they are now on the terrorist watch list. He said ultra-MAGA was the greatest threat we faced as a nation. So there he goes again, talking about these greatest threats we face, when in reality, it's him and people like him, communists that want to destroy our nation. That's the greatest threat. But most American people have been dumbed down about communism. They don't know anything about it. They don't know that the 45 communist goals for America have already been played out, and they've already been implemented in the United States. But, again, people don't want to hear about that. I put a video out all about 2-part series about the 45 communist goals. It's one of my lowest viewed videos. Maybe I didn't sensationalize the title enough or put a good enough thumbnail on there. Or maybe it's because the shadow ban people that run YouTube don't want that information out there. Or maybe it's just that people don't want to hear about it. It's hard to tell. So the whole time that Biden's been in office, he's been weaponizing the DOJ, and they've been trying to get Trump thrown in the slammer or disqualified from participating in the 2024 elections. They're saying Trump is an insurrectionist and led an insurrection on January 6th. That's why they've been talking about J6 till they're blue in the face and talking about how it was ultra-MAGA insurrection and all this stuff, and they nearly took over the Capitol, and they were going to kill all the senators and congressmen that were there that day. None of that stuff happened. They claimed on the day, within the week after January 6th, they were claiming, federal officers were claiming that like 5 or 6 Capitol Police had been killed, when in reality, none were killed that day, at least because as a result of the January 6th protests. No, from the videos I've seen, the J6 protesters were being quite peaceful until all of a sudden the Capitol Police decided to start launching tear gas and flashbangs into a peacefully assembled crowd. That's part of the disconnect. That's part of the problem that the mainstream media is unwilling to talk about. And it'll probably get me shadow banned again or put back up on the, the highest of high lists of potential domestic terrorist. Because I'm talking about traditional old school American values and American ways. It didn't used to be, that it made you a terrorist to be a conservative Republican. But now under Biden's rules, it does. So just be warned, guys. That's how it is now. Number 5, Biden's mental health. It's clearly in decline. Even from the time that he ran and was debating Trump, you can tell, if you've been paying attention, the guy has lost a lot more of his marbles than he'd already lost before he went in to the ring with Trump. But his mental health is a big concern and a national security issue. Biden has clearly displayed advanced stages of dementia. If you've been around people with dementia, you know the signs. It's... He frequently gets lost on stage and forgets what he's talking about. Mid-sentence, he'll just be saying something like, "Oh, you know the thing," like everyone knows exactly what he was fixing to say, even though the guy's reading a teleprompter, okay? So he can't even stay on track when he's reading a teleprompter and jump right back into it when he has a little minor thought in the middle or he pauses too long or something. The guy, you can see his eyes glass over. The guy's clearly got advanced dementia. And he needs to be in a home somewhere, not being used as a Manchurian candidate to destroy our country. But that's what Obama and the people behind Biden are doing. He has made countless gaffes on the world stage that are embarrassing to the United States. It's an embarrassment. Perhaps it's time for an age limit in all 3 branches of the federal government. That's my opinion. Some people might call that ageism or something like that. It's not that. If you're the exception to the rule and you make it past your 80s and you still have all your capacities and all that stuff, good for you. But you're the exception to the rule. Most people, when they get up in the, older ages, usually beyond 80, 85 in that ballpark, they start losing their mental capacities. We can't have someone like that. That, in my opinion, he is automatically disqualified because of his mental health, his current mental health. So I don't know what's going to happen. A lot of people are saying that they're going to swoop in with Gavin Newsom or Michelle Obama at the last minute. Maybe they will. The Democrats love doing that kind of dirty, underhanded stuff to where no one knows what's coming. It's misdirection. They're really good at it. Let's get into the last one. The last reason that Biden will and should lose the 2024 election if it's a fair contest and if it's not rigged like 2020 was. Number 6, World War III. We're on the cusp of it right now. It's pretty obvious if you watch the news. Under Biden's watch, he has sent hundreds of billions of U.S. tax dollars and endless supplies of high-tech military equipment to the Ukraine to fight a proxy war against Russia. Because we don't have the balls enough as a nation anymore to fight, mano a mano, man-to-man type wars anymore. We have to use a proxy like Ukraine because we want to implement our bullshit policies all around the world. This whole thing, it ain't just Biden. The CIA is definitely in on all of this stuff as well. Of course, all this action from the United States has pushed Russia and China into a much closer relationship. And that's bad for the United States of America because that endangers our national security here at home. The threat of full-scale thermonuclear war is at the highest levels since the end of the Cold War. And honestly, it might be higher than it ever was. It might be greater now than it ever has been, but our media is not going to tell us the truth. At least back in the old days, they would come on and try to tell you, hey, look, there's a Cuban Missile Crisis. This thing could go nuclear. Get ready. Stock up. Build yourself a bunker. You know what I'm saying? They don't say any of that shit now. They're just like, hey, if it comes, bend over and kiss your ass goodbye. By the way, we got this guy Biden in there that's making it come, willing it to come every time he opens his mouth. Of course, you got all that going on, the threat of thermonuclear war with Russia, Ukraine, all this stuff, NATO and all this, right? Then Israel is conveniently attacked in October, and Biden has another opportunity to get us involved in another war and get us more and more entangled into a situation that's going to be impossible for us to get out of. So he sends in the Navy as a response and everything. And I didn't mind when he sent in a couple of Navy ships, but now they've got I don't know what they call them, fleets or whatever. They've got probably hundreds of boats over there now and submarines and who knows what else. There's probably nuke subs, all kinds of stuff. There's probably nuclear, arms on those Navy vessels as well. So he sends in the Navy, more and more money, opens up, turns on the money tap, and unlimited weapons to Israel to aid Israel. And, they are one of our best allies in all this. But at the same time, I mean, why do we have to shower them with money just because they got attacked by this little strip, the Gaza Strip? I mean, I think Israel's capable of handling it on their own if we would just butt out and let them do what they need to do to take care of business. But instead, we got to be up everybody's ass. That's the problem. We're trying to be United States world police. We need to quit that crap. We need to worry about our own borders, our own country. But Biden's not going to do that. So by doing all this stuff over in the Middle East, he's thrown a lit match into the tinderbox that is the Middle East. This place is ready to go off at a moment's notice, and here comes Biden. He throws a lit match and a little bit of gasoline on the whole thing. Now it's an inferno. Meanwhile, you guys will remember back, last year before last, China can send a spy balloon or multiple spy balloons across the United States, across the entire United States, coast to coast, and they're tapping into our cell phone networks and our internet provider services here in the United States. And what does Biden do? Nothing. Nothing until it's already all the way outside of the United States. Oh, we don't want anyone to get hurt. Oh, really? But you're going to allow Chinese spy balloons to go across your country, across your military installations that are top secret? Doesn't make any sense unless you're trying to destroy the country, or unless you have some sort of deal because you and your son, through your dirty business dealings, are getting kickbacks and stuff, and maybe China essentially owns you. I think that's what's really going on here. China owns Biden. He's a puppet of the Chinese Communist Party. Meanwhile, again, real terrorists are allowed to enter our country through our southern border, and Biden looks the other way as he's tripping up another set of stairs to get onto Air Force One. Even though, wait a minute, they had to give him the short stairs so that he wouldn't trip as far. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, guys. The guy, he's for one, he's a puppet. So whenever I say Biden and all this, I really mean all the people that are pulling Biden strings behind the scenes. I know Biden can't even tie his own shoes, okay? He can't even wipe his own butt. Remember, my butt's been wiped, right? Remember all that stuff? The guy is a complete embarrassment, and it's been done by design to discredit the United States government. Because, there are these evil bastards out there. I know it's hard to grasp this for a lot of people, but there are people out there that are literally like James Bond villains, like Klaus Schwab's, like the people that run the WHO and the UN and the Agenda 21 2030 people. They're pure evil. They're all about controlling the population through any means necessary. And the United States is standing in their way. So along comes Biden, puppeted by Barack Obama, to bring in and bring down the United States, or at least bring us to our knees. That way we won't be able to do anything to the rest of the world. We won't be able to do anything to stop the New World Order and their full agenda. And I think that's what this is really about. I don't know what kind of deal with the devil Biden has signed or Obama has signed with the New World Order and Klaus Schwab and all these evil supervillains, but they've signed it. It's apparent when you look at their policies. So guys, let me know down in the comments of 6 other things that I could have included in my list here. Or what do you think the biggest reason that Biden will lose in 2024 if it was a fair election? So anyway, guys, appreciate you tuning in. As always, I stand for liberty to the bitter end. I hope you do too.